Good evening and welcome to Anime-Zing Radio here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. I'm your host, Doug Engler. Our co-host, Darren Starling, will be joining us in just a few minutes. And he had a phone call from his boss, so he's running a little bit behind. Angela is not joining us. She is currently out of the country on vacation with her husband for his birthday, so I hope they're having a wonderful time in Europe and hopefully safe travels out and back. We want to remind everybody, Anime-Zing Radio is brought to you tonight by Home Circle Media for everything. Good God, I am so thrown off by not having my camera on. And there's a reason I don't have the camera on. Anime-Zing Radio is brought to you tonight by Home Circle Media for the latest and greatest in anime gear. Everything from pens, pencils, stationery, and officially licensed art books. Be sure to check out homecirclemedia.com today or look for them at an upcoming convention near you. We're also brought to you tonight by Casey Fox. That's KAYCIFOXX for all of your artwork, cosplay, and photography needs. Check them out on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Again, welcome to Anime-Zing Radio. Hello to all you beautiful people in the chat room. Wonderful to see some new and old faces in there. Our guest tonight is a wonderfully talented voice actress, radio personality, someone who I have really become a huge fan of her, not just her work, but her as a person.
Yeah,
and we are
hello.
excited to have Kristi Rothrock joining us tonight.
Hello.
In the spirit of Halloween, we are dressing up. I don't think Darren is because he usually doesn't use this camera. I am in a costume, but
I'm in curiosity over here.
But I have a feeling that Yululu needs to come out to call out the costume.
Oh. Can you please show us your costume? I really want to see it.
That is right.
Kobayashi!
The wig is a bit disheveled, has not been taken care of very well, but...
That's okay, Miss Kobayashi. Can I comb it for you?
Of course. But dressed up as Kobayashi, this is the first time I have cosplayed on air.
I love it. I love it so much. Wonderful. The wig is great.
I've worn this outfit twice. Once was Anime Boston, and once was a small little convention in Watertown where I got to meet, where I got to see Kobayashi's voice actress.
Oh yeah.
And like I feel bad. I'm blanking on the name because I have two of them in there. It's like I don't
Leah
remember. Yes. I was like, I had Leah Clark and Lauren Landa. Well,
I gotcha.
Both of them at conventions this year.
Gotcha.
So it's like I'm getting names confused. I feel bad.
It happens. We all have scrambled brains. It's Sunday. It's Sunday night, you know.
It's Sunday. We're nearing Halloween. It's the spooky time of year. And
that's why I wore the shirt too. It's my Junji Ito shirt, but it's my Junji Ito shirt with the character I voice on it. So I'm really jazzed about that.
Nice.
I am all horror movied out today and Halloweened out, I guess you could say.
And I was looking around going, do I have any figures that would go good for this? And I'm like, I really don't. The closest thing I have is Yuna dressed in her bear outfit, which I had.
That is really cute.
And
did you have Marissa on?
I've had Marissa on a few times, and before Kuma Bear, it was regular conversations. After Kuma Bear, when we had her on, I fanboyed something hard because I love Yuna. That is such a great character, and she did an amazing job.
She made me just want to like hug Yuna. Yuna's such a good character.
I love the sweet smugness she has.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful, and it's so perfect. She just plays it like that fine line so perfectly that it's just like, I love Yuna.
And so I was like, I just won't put a figure up tonight. We do have exciting news that I will share for upcoming shows that we have booked later on in the show. We've got some amazing voice acting guests coming up in November, which you definitely want to stay tuned for those announcements, especially if you're a fan of Genshin.
Fun.
So that's going to be fun coming up in a little bit, of course. Thank you so much, Kristi, for joining us tonight, dressing up, having some fun. A lot of times we talk about the voice acting world, the characters that you've done, but you've always expressed the interest of the paranormal
Oh, absolutely.
and the spooky side. And
Oh, yes.
I could see the interest was piqued when I had mentioned in the past that I am a paranormal researcher. Haven't done it in a while, but I have been a part of teams throughout New England, New York, and helped out with evidence review for a team in Colorado.
See, that is just that is so cool. I wish I had time for stuff like that because stuff like that is just like it brings me joy.
I wish I could do it again. I just have not had the time. I
Hmm.
think there was a paranormal style event this weekend in town here. I just didn't have the time to make it or the energy because I've been going crazily busy with show promotions and stuff.
Hmm.
Um, 2 weeks ago, I was in Syracuse at a con. Last weekend, my wife was vending for the first time in 3 years at a
Oh,
con in
nice. Good
Mass,
for her.
and she did pretty well at AAC. So excited about that. It was nice to have her get back out there. I didn't go. I stayed behind with our daughter. We had a friend that was helping her out.
Yeah.
So it's good to see Casey Fox back out there. I know that for an event that's going to be coming up, I have an idea in mind for an art piece that I would like to see her do with a collaboration with a couple of characters and our mascot. So
Oh, that's cool. Well, that'll be something to look out on your Twitter for then, right?
yeah, I need to start using it more. I am so bad about social media.
Oh, I am too. I actually use, okay, here's my dirty little secret, is that I use an app called Buffer, and it makes it so that I don't have to get on Twitter and I can just line up my tweets throughout the week and then it tweets for me throughout the week. And I'm like, haha, no one knows my dirty secret except the bottom of it just says tweeted via Buffer, so they know. But yeah, it's I love it because I'm also bad at using Twitter. I'll get busy throughout the week and I'm like, crap, I missed like, because you have to hit like the market time for Twitter if you want to use Twitter as like a market tool kind of thing, like when you're marketing yourself and everything. And so, you want to find the best time where you're going to get the most engagement. But unfortunately, it's a game we all have to play. And so I always just set tweets to tweet at the times whenever it's like, these are good for like, like post engagement and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely love engaging with my fans on Twitter. All of that is like organic. Like I do still get on Twitter and like all of my replies to fans and everything are like, I'm so grateful for those. And so all of those replies are organic. But as far as like my original tweets go, I just forget to tweet. And so I use Buffer and I'm like, yes, this rules. Because then I just like don't have to remember to tweet.
And you have as you were saying, you have a very busy schedule. So it's got to be kind of
Mm.
crazy to keep up with everything, especially where your day starts so early during the week.
Painfully early, yes. I 4:45 is when I wake up, and luckily my boyfriend, who, yes, you can see him back there behind me, maybe, he's playing Overwatch, which I'm jazzed because he's playing as Kiriko, and I was kind of inspired by Kiriko for this outfit, but anyway, so yeah, he's a jewel, he's a gem, and he wakes up and like makes coffee for me and wakes up with me and everything, and I'm like, thank you, I'm so tired.
And knowing because of you, I have been addicted to a certain app
Mm?
that I listen to on the daily at work. My
Aw,
day
bless you.
starts at 8 a.m. Eastern time, and I turn on the Buzz B99.7 and listen to you in the mornings. And
Thank
here's the
you.
proof. Have you gotten your Happy Meal yet?
No, I want one so bad, and thank you. Yes, oh my God. You have reminded me that I need to go before those are out. Oh my gosh, I want one so bad. Thank you. I keep forgetting. Thank you. Because, like, yes, I want one really, really, really bad. And
I was
yes,
like,
that
what's
is proof
something
that
that
you've
she
been
talks
listening.
about? I'm like, what's something she talks about on the radio that I could bring up to show that I listen on a regular basis? And you
I
don't
even,
talk about it every day, but I've heard you mention it a few times.
that's how bad I want one. In case you don't know what I'm talking about, anyone who's watching, then I'm talking about, they came out in the 90s. And back whenever I was in like heyday Happy Meal wanting kiddo time where I'm just like, yes, that's how oh, hi, Darren's here.
Hello,
Um,
Darren.
hello, Darren.
I think he's still getting things set up.
All good. But anyway, yeah, it was like peak 90s, like kids getting Happy Meal time was for me. And so it was um, like these Halloween pails that were really iconic to the point that like I've even seen people sell pins of them online. And they're these really iconic McDonald's Halloween pails that would double as candy buckets. And like that was considered your like toy. Was it coming in this like special Halloween pail? And like I, no joke, carried those all throughout the 90s. Whenever I would go trick or treating, I would have my McDonald's Happy Meal pail. And it's like I've got a niece now, and she's like getting to the age where she's like not as much into trick or treating or anything like that. But I'm just like, darn it, I missed my window to go and like get a Happy Meal pail and trick or treat with my niece.
I think we have Darren here now.
Hello, Darren.
I don't know. We cannot hear you if you are talking at the moment. The wonders of live podcasting. And if
The
you're
wonders of haunted podcasting.
And if you're listening to us via podcast, come on over to YouTube on Sunday nights between 8 and 10 p.m. We do the live shows then. Come into the chat room. A big hello to all the wonderful people in the chat room, including Ross Luck, Wise Excellent VO, NSM0220. And wonderful to see all of you in the chat room talking. If you have questions for any of us tonight, feel free to ask in the chat room. Of course, we want to talk a lot of the spooky stuff because it is Halloween season. One of the reasons that I am dressed up and that Kristi is dressed up, looking amazing as a kitsune.
Thank you.
And actually, Darren's picture is a kitsune as well.
Perfect.
I think he's still trying to figure out connection issues, so he will be joining us in a little bit. But
oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, what got you interested in the world of the paranormal?
Growing up in a house, hang on, I'm gonna scooch over just a little bit so my cat can jump over. She's getting a little up there in the years, so she's not as comfortable taking the leap, but she'll get over. There she is. Anyway, no, what got me into it was just as a little kid, I've always just loved a good ghost story. My dad, whenever I was younger, we would drive home. My parents owned a restaurant. And so anyone who's ever born from their parents owning a business, you know just how much time you spend at that business, just hanging out, because that business really is your home away from home. And my dad would like take us home and tell us like ghost stories on the way home, because that was just something that fascinated him. He was a great storyteller, and so I would always be like, Dad, tell us a scary story. And like, gosh, this is getting my eyelashes started. I'm like, blah. Anyway, so he would tell us these stories, and then on top of that, one day whenever I was younger, that already got me like prone to, you know, picking out the spooky. I love, you know, anything that's kind of eerie and stuff like that. But then on top of that, I genuinely have had things that, like, as a fair skeptic myself, things that have happened in my parents' house that I just absolutely cannot explain. And I hate there are certain times where I'm just like I feel awkward talking about it, because like some of them I'm just like I feel like people are gonna think I'm totally like expanding on the truth or lying or whatever. But like all of the things that have happened that I've told people really happen, and stuff that I'm going to share with you to this evening, because that's what this is all about. And so growing up in a house where things really did happen pretty frequently was like something that got me into like hauntings and stuff. And then of course horror movies and just getting into like scary things in general. And now, you know, having grown up in the house that I did, it made me want to look into other locations that are potentially like haunted or might have something else that I can discover and find and see in them. And, you know, kind of give myself that little adrenaline rush.
That's cool. I won't ever think you're crazy or elaborating on anything, because my first introduction to the paranormal was at a friend of mine's house when we were kids. And we his mother was a smoker, had a pack of cigarettes out on the counter.
Hmm.
I was over there, we were playing, went to walk into the kitchen, saw the cigarette pack open, a cigarette get taken out, lit, and smoked in front of us, and there was nobody else in the room. His mother thought we were lying, and he got in trouble because a cigarette was missing.
Ah, I gotcha. So she thought that it was him.
It wasn't until a few months later that we were going into the kitchen and we saw a knife fly across the kitchen and hang out of the wall that she actually believed that there was something weird going on there. And
Sheesh.
um, they moved, I think, within a couple of months after that.
Yeah, that's the best idea. That actually reminds me of the horror movie Insidious, which is where they like the instant they see something terrifying in the house, that's always a horror movie trope where they see just like this horrific stuff in the house and they just don't move. And that's one thing I liked about Insidious is they saw this horrible crap in this house and they're just like, nope, and they just move the hell out of that house. Like I really love that about that movie. Um, but yeah, I mean, I can't say I blame them for that by any means at all. And isn't that funny how it happens that the parents don't believe you and they're like, ah, sure that happened until they see it themselves. Because it's funny enough, that's how I got my mom to believe me was I woke up one time, my sister had her best friend staying over, and therefore I slept in bed with my parents because I was really young. And I was too scared to stay in my room alone without my sister because she and I shared a room. And so anyway, she was downstairs sleeping with her friend, and I woke up to a kid's voice calling mommy coming from the air vent. Oddly enough, I didn't know why it was coming from there, but sure. And I feel like little touches like that, like why the heck would if I was lying, why the heck would I come up with the idea with the air vent? Like, wouldn't it be like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, it was coming from the closet, someplace way scarier than the air vent, but it was coming from the air vent of all places. And I told my mom about it because what happened was I was like, oh man, okay, so I thought in my little kid head, you know how in little kid you'll like do anything to keep yourself from getting scared. And so I was like convincing myself, I was like, it's the cat. And so like I saw the cat on the way out of my parents' room because they were still asleep. And I was like, okay, not the cat. And I was like, it's definitely my sister or Brandy, who is her friend. And so I like snuck into the living room where Kevin was my sister. And I snuck in there and I looked in and they were both just like completely out. And the thing is in order for you to like be able to talk into the air vent, because we lived in an A-frame house, and so on the top floor the air vents were on the floor, and on the bottom or on the lower floor the air vents were on the ceiling to kind of save on duct work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so we would like my sister and I would sometimes like goofy like talk to each other through the air vents, and I was like, definitely it's them talking to me through the air vent. But they were both dead asleep, and nobody else was home. And I even went upstairs to see like who would be able to talk into the air vent because they weren't even tall enough to talk into the downstairs one, and they wouldn't have made it to that room anyway. And so there was nobody that could have done it. And I even like investigated as a kid, and I told my mom about it, and she did the typical parent thing of like, oh wow, that's scary. I'll keep an ear out for it, honey. And then one day she heard it while she was drying her hair, to give you an idea of how loud it was that time. And then she believed me. So yeah, then my mom finally was in on it also. She's like, yeah, so about that.
And after that, you're like, I think there's more here than meets the eye. And I
Yeah, you're
always
like,
grew up,
what have I told you, mom?
and I've always enjoyed the paranormal, ghosts, UFOs. Like I loved sightings growing up. I bought the DVD set of all the ghost stories and all the UFO stories because those were what I watched.
So yesterday, not gonna lie, my boyfriend and I just sat and watched back to back. We were like, there's a movie that he likes and is found footage UFO movie, and then there's one that I like called Grave Encounters. And It's a found footage ghost hunting movie, and it's really good. I love Grave Encounters, and so I was like, "Show me yours, and I'll show you mine." And so we just back to back watched like paranormal, like UFO encounter found footage movie, and then we watched Grave Encounters, which was like paranormal, like ghost encounters and stuff. So it was super fun, and yeah, we've been getting into the spooky season. I have the house decorated for Halloween some and everything, so it's been fun.
It's hard
Uh,
to see. There we have like some crows that are in the
Oh, I
windowsill
do see them.
there.
That's cute. Oh,
We've got some pumpkins and stuff. We don't have a ton of Halloween things. We've got a couple of things up on the walls and stuff, but not a
yeah.
ton in here. A
Most of mine
small
is
apartment.
outside. Yeah, same. Most of mine is like outside. I have like a little pumpkin on the front door. Although, you were talking about figurines. I don't know if you can see him, but I've got my Chatter from Hellraiser standing here. You can't really
Nice.
see him. Yeah, you can't really see him because it's way too dark. Um,
The
but yeah, I've got my little Hellraiser figurine. Which, by the way, I don't know how into horror movies you are, but have you seen the new one?
I am not a horror person.
Ah,
I
gotcha.
am one of those people, if I'm going to be dealing with ghosts and paranormal, I want to be there and encounter real stuff. I don't
Mm.
want to go to the haunted houses that are made, things like that. The creepy
Yeah.
door just added perfectly to that.
Mm.
I just
Right,
and
with like a shadow behind me.
I'm like the only figures that are within an arm's reach, and I don't the closest one that would work would be Coconut from Necopara, but we do have. I mean,
Oh, nice.
Nico's kind of scary in her own right. Um,
Here, I've got this.
and then we
Um,
have
I've got a
Golden
science
Darkness.
diagram. Oh, nice. I love it. We're both showing off our figures, and I'm like, this is a perfect screenshot of like, I'm like, look at my figure, and you're like, look at mine.
I
I'm
know.
just
I'm
like,
like, I have the cute anime figures, and you're like, I have this,
yeah.
which that appears in plenty of animes. I won't lie.
You know what? You're right. It's
Ghost
like
stories.
basically, oh my god, ghost story. All you have to do is say those two words in regards to like when you're in the anime scene, and based on somebody's reaction, you'll know exactly whether they've seen it or not.
Ghost stories, in my opinion, is one of those beautiful animes that would not make it today.
Right. And the thing is like you can tell that all of the jokes in it are made like with love, like in mind. They're not made with malice.
Yeah.
And like that's what makes it so special is that it's very likely given, you know, everyone's a bunch of actors. It's very likely that people who were writing and acting and all of this are the very people that, you know, they make fun of, you know, people even whenever they like make fun of like gay people and stuff like that. It's probably a gay
Yep.
person that wrote that line. Like there's no telling. I mean, you can tell it's all done from a place of like uh good naturedness. At least that's the vibe I get from it anyway.
Oh yeah, like the jokes are wonderful in it. The goofiness, like I said, I think it's in my opinion, it's a beautifully done anime, and especially hearing a little bit of the behind the scenes because we saw Monica Rial at a small convention in Vermont years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and Ghost Stories was brought up, and
Mm-hmm.
she was talking about. Oh, I think we have sound from Darren now.
Darren.
Hey, sorry. Apparently Verizon decided to have a little outage on my way home.
Oh,
So I had to wait to get home to actually connect to my Wi-Fi.
Oh gosh, love that for you, right?
Yeah, and sorry I wasn't able to join earlier. One of my fellow contractors invited me over.
not a problem.
All good, my dude.
But we're talking about Ghost Stories and how it's a beautifully done anime that if it came out today would not fly. And
No, it wasn't.
but Monica talked about it in an 18 plus panel how that was, I believe, almost entirely improv.
That sounds about right because like there was one of my favorite lines in the whole show is where they run into the police officer, or they run into the police station, and she says something really fast, and then he picks up where she leaves off, and I can't remember who the actors are, but he picks up where she leaves off, and he stumbles, but he keeps going. And so he's like, yeah, okay, and he just starts speaking gibberish, and they just left that in. And I'm like, that is the beauty of it. I love stuff like that. And
some of the one-liners is unbelievable in there. And
oh my God.
Like when her little brother, they were trying to get him to train for a track meet, and he's like, run like a big black guy's chasing you. He gained half a second. Well, he's not racist.
Right. And you're just like, where is this joke going? Oh no. Like, am I about to hear a really awful joke? Am I about to like feel secondhand, like, oh my God? And then you're like, oh, I see the setup and now where they were going with that. Yeah. And so it's such a like, yeah, it's such a like, it's a dub that absolutely is, it really questions limitations. And I like that about it, because I think it does a really good job of towing that line without crossing it, and feeling like it was done with love rather than malice.
Pretty much, exactly.
I'll be back. I'm just refilling my water, but I can listen to you.
But it was, very well done. And of course, welcome, Darren, to the show. I know it's a little weird to see us all dressed up.
Sorry,
Darren is dressed up in our hearts.
Well, thank you.
Darren's costume is the picture he's wearing.
I was to say, I'm a kitsune fox with 4 tails and a shrine maiden outfit.
I'll buy it for $1.
That's okay. One of the other cosplays that I want to do, I have the wig and the ears for. I need to make the tail, and I need to get an outfit that looks similar to the ones in the picture that Darren has. But I want to cosplay as Senko from Helpful Fox Senko-san. I'm like, I'm going to crossplay as characters that have no figure, so I don't have to worry about, fake boobs or anything like that.
And you could probably like get usage out of that wig that you're wearing right now. They have the same color hair.
I actually have a wig that I bought that was specifically Senko, came with ears and everything.
Oh, nice!
I bought that at the same time that I bought this, because I was going to wear both of them for Anime Boston, but never had the money to get the outfit for Senko.
Right. Hey, speaking of costumes and whatnot, so what has been your favorite Halloween or cosplay costume that you've done to this day?
I would have to say, because back before I knew what anime was, and before I knew what cosplay was, I was introduced to a game called Final Fantasy IX. That was my introduction to the Final Fantasy franchise. I was staying with some friends. They were playing it. I got wrapped up. And the main character is a character named Zidane Tribal. And so I decided it would be fun to dress up as Zidane. And, pretend to be this character and go from there.
Yeah.
And I am trying to open up just the image so I can share this character, because I had to figure out how to sew a tail.
Okay.
I had never sewn before. So this is the character that I chose. A friend of mine.
I see. Sorry, I'm on my phone because in order to be able to wear this like mask on the side of my head, I needed to wear my Bluetooth headset. So I'm like squinting because I'm just like, it's itty bitty, but I see what you're talking about. Yeah.
I'm not sure if I can get that to go in.
No, I see what you're talking about. Yeah.
But he's got the tail in the back. So I sewed a tail onto the I've created 2 tails, sewed one onto a pair of blue jeans, and sewed a tail onto a pair of work pants because I worked as a mechanic. And the friends I was staying with were big into Renaissance fair, sharp, pointy objects, so they actually gave me a real sword to walk around with this costume.
Ooh, fun!
I couldn't unsheath it because that's illegal in Massachusetts, but I did
Darn
have
laws!
And then the following year, the same people introduced me to Inuyasha. So I dressed up as Inuyasha the following year.
Perfect. I love that. Inuyasha was my like first. That was baby's first anime for me.
That was
It'll
my
always
first
hold a
anime.
special place in my heart.
I mean, I get looked at weird because this is the hat I wear out everywhere.
Eee, that's cute. I love it. What does it say on it?
They
Oh,
have
that's
the
so
Inuyasha
cool. I
on the
love
bottom.
that. Sit, boy. Ah, I love it. I was hoping it said sit.
It did.
No, Inuyasha, hands down, first anime crush ever. Like, oh my god. I was such a hopeless little kid whenever I was in high school, and I was like, why doesn't she just go for Inuyasha? He obviously loves her. Kikyo's not right for him. And then I'm like, but then Koga, he's so cute. And so I was like all in. It's just an anime soap opera. That's all it is. And it's pure schlock. And I fell in love with it because I was a little high school kid sitting there straightening my hair in front of the TV watching Inuyasha.
And I laugh because my first waifu was Sango.
Oh my god. I love that.
Ayame. And then Ayame.
Ah.
Which not many people remember her, but she was the female version of Koga.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh my god, she is adorable. Koga, you should be with her. Leave Kagome to
Yeah. They're leave their little triangle and don't make it a quartet. Just like don't worry about them and just go be with her and have adorable children. I would like, no joke, I was that kid in high school who would like read fanfic and stuff like that. And it was like fanfic, it was like the most innocent stuff too, because I like, you know, I liked the Pure Bean fanfic where I was just like, I want them to be married. And so I would read those kinds of fanfic.
I feel bad. I can't comment because I've never seen Inuyasha.
That's okay. Truth be told, unless wait, Kristi here. Not only did I do the cute Ubu chan, but you're telling me she did the cute chan. Yes, I did all three of those.
And she also did the adorable Rose, which I need to change the backdrop here.
And by the way, thank you so much for saying that. That's so kind of you.
So you can't see it, but we have Rose in the background.
By the way, did you see my new rose print on Twitter?
I have not.
Ooh, it's really cute. I'll text it to you. Actually, if it doesn't turn off my cam, if it does, I'm sorry, but I'll text it to you right now. It's mega cute.
I'll say don't. You might want to open your app in like a split screen, otherwise it'll probably disconnect after about 20 seconds. That's 20 to 30 seconds has been my average with StreamYard.
Gotcha.
Your video just kind of freezes when you do that, but you stay connected because when you were sending the tweet out earlier, I noticed that the screen just kind of froze.
Gotcha. Well, I just texted you the little sample thingy if you wanted to put it up on there, and that way, because like I put sample over it so nobody screenshots it like on Twitter and stuff like that. Because you know it is art that is commissioned, and so you know I don't want anyone to steal it.
We used to do the same thing back in my anime page admin type days. People would always sneak their watermarks in whenever, because we would love to post screenshots from the episode, which of course eventually came to be frowned upon. DMCA, thank you very much.
Gotcha.
But anyway, we would always put our watermarks in there to where you could hardly see them, because for obvious reasons, people would be taking our stuff and then reposting it as their own, because we would take multiple screenshots, do collages in ways that made sense. I mean, I had one, I think I was the one that did it, and I caused it to go viral. And I forgot to put a watermark on it. Doug, do you remember that one from DxD with Kuroka saying that Issei tasted like a child?
Vaguely, it's been a while.
Anyway, and then the next lines was, "Hey, do you want to make babies with me?" That was one of the. I was like on Johnny on the spot with that one, and I think that was one of the highest reaching screenshots I ever got. And then next thing I know, every other DxD and anime page was doing that exact same screenshot. And I'm like,
Oh,
why didn't I put my watermark in it? This was like right around the time we started doing that stuff.
And I will show the
gotcha.
picture because this is absolutely adorable.
Isn't it?
Oh wow.
I did introduce Casey to the show, and she thinks Rose is one of the cutest characters. Not too fond of the show, but loves Rose. Loves the
I
character.
love Rose so much. Yeah, the show's not for everybody. It is really crude, but I love it because on the inside I'm secretly 8 years old. So my little 8-year-old heart loved it.
If you like Konosuba, you will love that one. Combatants
Yeah,
will be
Combatants
dispatched.
will be dispatched is so good. Oh goodness, yeah, that was a good one. Oh, so we were, talking about spooky stuff and everything. So do you have any upcoming ventures that you're going to be making to haunted places anytime soon?
Not anytime soon, but I do have the bucket list of places that I want to visit or go back to. One of my favorite locations that I have investigated one was a public haunt. Actually, both were public haunt investigations. But um, good evening, Mario. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for tuning in while you're at work.
Hello.
And but I'm sure you have seen, if you like the paranormal shows, Taps has been there, or Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventurers has been to this location. Um, Most Haunted, I think, went to this location as well. But it's
Oh,
called
cool.
Rolling Hills in Batavia, New York.
I have heard of Rolling Hills. Actually, I think you and I have already talked about Rolling Hills because, yeah,
Yes,
I've heard
I,
lots about it.
I have been locked in there twice. Would love to get back there. I have had some interesting experiences. I've
Yeah.
everything from hearing my name called to seeing shadows. So like you in a dark hallway, we put a glow stick down, and you could see shadow figures block out the light of the glow stick.
That's amazing. I love
Uh,
it. I love that.
Saw a stuffed animal move twice in the same room with two people sitting there with me staring at the stuffed animal, and you could see it physically move from a chair to under a tree. For those of you who might know of Rolling Hills or have seen some of the TV shows that have been there, they had what was called the Christmas tree room. For whatever reason, there was like
Hmm.
12 or 15 different Christmas trees that were all decorated in this room, kept up all year round. And there was said to be a lot of
That's
activity in there.
terrifying.
And so we were sitting in there. Unfortunately, I did not have my camera at the time because both batteries had died, so it was charging. This
Uh-huh.
was a lockdown. You got there, the doors were locked at 9 p.m. They unlocked them at 6 a.m. You're only
Funny,
allowed
that's
outside the building to smoke.
that's the permissive grave encounters actually. They
So
get locked in this asylum or uh and yeah, it's like a lockdown situation.
and so a lot of different things happened there. And then I did have video. I don't know where it's at anymore, but they did have a morgue at Rolling Hills,
Mhm.
and the morgue table was still there. The freezers were still there where they would store the bodies and things. And it was a hot summer night, 90 degrees, high humidity, typical
Mhm.
Northeast New York summertime. You're dying of heat even at night. And there was a nice cold metal table there, which was an examination table. So I
Ah,
decided to lay on it
great.
because I am not nuts. I'm like, all right,
Right.
let's see if we can trigger something.
Yeah, I'll tempt fate. See,
And so I set the
this is why
camera.
we get along. You and I are going to make bad choices together.
So I set up the camera and I got on the table they said the owner said it was okay to get on the table. And so I laid down and I said, okay, doctor, I said something about, body's ready. And as I'm laying there, I could feel the table start to shake. And and so I asked, I'm like, there's 10 people in this room. Okay, is anybody touching the table? And from the camera, you can clearly see there's at least a foot to a foot and a half distance between the table and the closest person. Nobody's touching this table. And then I felt the pressure on my chest. Like when you see them do autopsies on TV shows, they push down so that they can make the incision. Well, I was feeling that right down the center where you would start an incision for an autopsy. At that point, I said, okay, this is a bit too much for me, and I got up. And
yeah, you noped out of there. Yeah,
I didn't leave the room, but I was like, I got what I wanted.
You're like, that's all. That's all for me, thanks. Yeah, it's interesting. I have actually never been touched by anything. I've never felt anything that I can remember. But one of the things that was at my parents' house, excuse me, I'll try to mute that if it happens too much. But anyway, one of the things that happened at my parents' house was I was a little kid and I went to my upstairs bedroom and it was just me up there and I had just taken a shower. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. It is getting late for Grandma Kristi. So anyway, yeah, I was getting my clothes together and everything, and I put my PJs on and whatnot. But while I was doing all of that, I saw like the curtains like fluff up, like somebody had pushed them from behind, and I even saw like hands, and it was just like if somebody pushed a sheet from behind like that, because I had like wall length curtains because I had a big sliding glass door at my house or in my room. And so I had like ceiling to floor curtains pretty much. And so I saw somebody push them from the other side and they would have had to have been like right up against the window. And so I just put my PJs on. I was like, whatever, it's my sister trying to scare me. Who cares? And then I looked behind the mirror or behind the curtains and I was so sure that it was my sister that I go, because I was going to scare her and there was nothing there. And I screamed because I was a little kid, obviously. I mean, hell, I would scream as an adult if that happened to me. And I ran downstairs and my mom to this day, she was like, Kristi, I was terrified for you. That is the whitest and like most in shock I have ever seen you in my entire life. I thought I thought you had seen like a kidnapper or something out of the window, like you were terrified. And I was like, nope, just ghosts, that's all, Mom, thanks. And like, that's one of the many things that had happened at their house. Another one being me being up at 3 a.m. because I'm a night owl, and I was just reading in bed and I was hanging out and everything, and I heard something knocking downstairs, and it was knocking as if like, how like when you drop a rubber ball, it's like it like taps, it's like tap 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 tap, 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 tap. That's how this was knocking on the door. And I was like, what? And I heard doors slamming downstairs, and normally like my dog would be barking, and I woke my sister up and we both went downstairs and we were just like, oh, I guess it's nothing. And she was like, well, you can sleep on my floor if you want. And so we both went to bed or whatever, and I slept on her floor. And she told me the next morning, she was like, I didn't want to say anything, but I also heard it. I just didn't want to freak you out. And so it was one of those things where I got told after the fact that that they experienced the same thing that I did. And I'm like, hey, you know what? At least I get verification later that I'm not crazy and just like seeing things, and like that my family actually believes me. But it seems like I was the first to experience a lot of it, and I don't know why. But I've always heard.
I was gonna say, some people are just more sensitive to those energies than others.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not uncommon from like the research that I've done and the stuff that I have seen through my years of being involved, because I really started heavily getting into the paranormal at the age of 19.
Mm-hmm.
Always had interest in it, But the big thing that opened my eyes to the world of paranormal and really kind of changed my view on everything. And they always say that, sometimes tragedies can really like change a person's psyche.
Mm-hmm.
I had a 12-month span that started off with my cousin being killed in a car accident at the age of 16, 1 month before her 17th birthday.
I'm sorry.
And I was 19 at the time. And it was one of those cases where we hadn't spoken for a long time with that side of the family, started to
Mm-hmm.
reconnect, started to become, on good terms with them. My best friend was dating her sister.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got the news and drove out there. It was like a 45-minute drive from our house to where they lived. Drove out there, spent the night out there with them. And her sister told me that, the next day, she goes, yeah, my cousin who died, her name was Diana. She's like, I saw Diana. She kind of walked into the room, looked at me, waved, and then walked out as if saying final goodbyes.
Mm-hmm.
And then shortly after that, I started having weird occurrences that would happen in my bedroom at night where the radio would turn on. And I would think I was just dreaming. On the third night, the radio was unplugged, no batteries in there. So there's no way it could have turned on. And it turned on about 3:15ish in the morning. And I was like, okay, Diana, I know you're here.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that you are in a better place. Thank you for checking in. Just keep an eye on, your sister and her boyfriend. Make sure they don't do anything stupid. And the radio stops because it was, it turned on and just changing channels back and forth. And when I asked that, it stopped on laughter, like, yeah, right, like they haven't done something stupid already. And then I said, can you do that for me? And in one last pass, I heard her voice say, okay. And then it shut off. And then that kind of started a doorway in my psyche, which opened to the point of being able to become an energy sensitive. Some people
I
call it
see.
psychic ability. Some people, like, I've been able to pick up on things most people can't. And
I know
that's
what you
one
mean in that.
and that's one way I've been able to help out with like paranormal research. A small group out of Middleborough, Mass that I used to be a part of. I got questioned when the founder of the group was going through the evidence review. Why did I move a specific camera 3 times in this private residence? And I said, because I put it in one spot, I didn't like the coverage of the garage that it was in. So I moved it to another spot, and then something just told me I needed to put it in this third spot. The final
Mm-hmm.
spot that I put it, you catch a figure walking down the steps to the garage and cross in front of it, as me and 5 other people are on the opposite end of the garage. I thought I heard something. I turned. I'm wearing one of those UV headlamps. So you can see
Mm-hmm.
me turn my head. And as I turn my head and the light goes through the garage, you can literally see the outline. Like you can see the head, the inlet, and the outline of the nose, a little bit of the chin pass in front of the camera and disappear.
Mm-hmm. And
And we don't have. Now, we've had people who have tried to explain it away. It's a garage. They have four-wheelers, they have ATVs, they have go-karts, they have cars in there. A lot of reflective surfaces, headlights, taillights, things of that nature.
right.
And so they said, I think it was just a reflection because it passed, but as you turn your head this way, it went like this. The problem is when I turned back, it didn't go in reverse. It just
Mm.
disappeared, which in my mind says, okay, it's not
It
a
was a
reflection.
one-time pass, yeah.
So, and they'd had a lot of stuff happen in the garage. Um, and that was one of the craziest things we're using, the psychic energies that I feel helped to catch evidence. And it
I
doesn't happen
see.
all the time. And I'm able to like turn it on, not so much on and off because it's never fully off, but I've been able to learn how to turn the volume down, so to speak, so that it's not as distracting in everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
But I've had times where I would talk to somebody on Skype, no video, and they would tell me that they had a weird feeling, and then then I would just in my mind see the room they were sitting in, and I would tell them what I see in my mind. And a couple of times it was just dead silence because like, how did you've never even met me? How did you know how my room is set up, how my house is set up, and how did you know there was a person standing at this door which you have no way of even seeing because it's not in any camera shots or anything like that.
Yeah.
And so,
Well, I think like one of my things is like I have never been able to like, foresee anything or anything like that. And I'm I don't know, because like you said, you feel that, certain people are more sensitive to it. And I'm not entirely sure, what I feel, because I wouldn't call it anything like psychic or anything like that, like what I feel. But I can pick up on people really, really easily, and my radar for people is really strong.
so you're more of
And
an empath.
I don't know. I really don't know.
Because
Because
the
like,
empath side of things would be more of you can pick up on the feelings that like you can tell walking into a room if people are in good moods, bad moods, things of that nature.
no, not so
No.
much. No, it's not so much that. It's that like, if something, even if there's nothing on the surface, if something, I'm usually really good at sniffing out when there's something super off about people. And I don't want to say too much about it because it's A, potentially triggering for people, and B,
Mm-hmm.
I want to be respectful, but so I will remain as squeaky clean as possible. But one of the examples that I can think of is, there was a fellow that I, uh, that was a like youth pastor, I believe, in my town, and all the students loved him. And I was in like the second grade, and everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, this guy," and like he's so nice. And I was like, he would walk into the room, and I was just like, I hate this guy, and I could never put my finger on it. And it turned out he was a really bad dude, and you know, I hate what happened to the victims, and I never want to make it about myself. But that was one of the moments that I realized, like, I hated this guy for no reason. And then and then like it ended up, I was like, oh crap, everyone found out this insane bomb about him. And I've noticed in the past that if I get a bad feeling about somebody, like, it's not with everybody. I can't get feelings on everybody, but if somebody gives off a really bad maybe I'm really good at picking up like micro expressions or something like that. I'm really good at like reading those minute like body language things. But like any time that I have felt just like, ooh, something off about this person, don't know, this person puts me off for some reason. I can't put my finger on it, but why? But this person is off. And there have been so many times where I have been absolutely right. And it's scary because like it's gotten to the point now where if I feel off about somebody, I'm just like instantly, I'm just like, nope, do not interact with this person, because it has been accurate so many times. And so it's
Yeah.
usually just like I get a read on people if there's something like, I smell you and you smell bad, kind of thing, like that sort of thing.
Kind of an animal instinct because animals usually can tell good people from bad people in a way.
I would say it's arguably something closer to that, if yeah, because
That's
like,
your inner kitsune coming out.
I guess so, yeah.
Or
No,
Kristune.
honestly, yeah, Chris Kritsune. No, to give another example in a completely different direction, as far as like, being able to read certain things. Again, I'm going to keep this as squeaky clean as possible. But I was the last person to be with my grandmother, who was my mother figure. And I was the last one with her before she passed away. And I was able to just read what she looked like in, because like she'd been in the hospital for a while, and she was like, they had hopes for her, you know, she was kind of on the up and up. And then I saw her one night in the hospital, and I was like, no, no, I don't think this is going to happen. And sure enough, the next day I got a call that I was like, hey, you need to go. And so even that, I was able to look at her and realize like, oh, like I can read this from a mile away. And I would argue that it's less empath and more just like
More like,
instinctual type stuff. Yeah.
yeah.
I guess that's what it would be. I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's just a read I get on people in certain situations. I can't describe it.
That's part of that's one of the interesting things about like the paranormal, and people get the wrong, ideas of paranormal, because paranormal basically just is beyond the normal.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's such a broad amount of things that are considered paranormal: ghosts, UFOs, cryptozoology, so many things that we cannot fully explain, or
Mm-hmm.
people know answers to some of, and classified reasons or whatnot cannot speak of it.
Right.
Because I've been on I was, the talk show I was a part of before doing this show, before creating Anime-Zing Radio, we talked with a lot of people in the paranormal world. We talked to demonologists, we talked to cryptozoologists, we've talked to people who have been in situations where they said that they've had alien encounters and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
So hearing stories, and you can tell from like just the tone of the voices that these people fully believe the experiences that that have happened to them. And
Absolutely.
we had one show that we did that our guest was getting into some pretty deep details, and I'm not going to go into any of it because it's not my story to tell.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly the server shut down like that.
I remember you telling me about that. Yes.
And we later found out that because we went through a third party for broadcasting, to have the complete broadcast system shut down, it's like a huge process.
It's
And it went
interesting that
down
you
instantly.
do you remember, have you heard of the broadcast? I can't remember what radio show it was, but it was a broadcast, and it was a guy who specialized in like paranormal type stuff. And he something similar happened to him. There was a guy who called in, and he was in absolute hysterics, saying like the government, and like talking about like alien spacecrafts and stuff like that, and the things we don't know and everything. And then the radio station, the tower, just shut down. It went dark for like 5 minutes, and then it came up like 5 minutes later. But it was in the middle of this guy trying to spill what he was saying was government secrets, and the radio tower just happened to shut down.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy was in hysterics. And so, like, it raises the question of, like, did he just experience something and he's got someone after him? Did they know to shut this radio tower down? I mean, the government hears and knows everything we do. I mean,
Oh
I
yeah.
was talking about Moxie skates the other day, and like 20 minutes later, I was in the bathroom, and it was like, hey, did you talk about Moxie skates? Because I have the Google opinion awards, and I'm just like, stop. And so, yeah, I'll send you a link to it later. You and I text nowadays, and
Yes.
so yeah, I'll text you a link to it. But it's but then like a week later, a guy got on, and he was like, "Oh yeah, it was me. I was just an actor," but it doesn't sound anything like the guy who originally called in. And
Yeah.
so,
There is so much out there that, and I can understand from a government point of view of, yes, there's things we can't explain or don't want to explain because of the risk of mass hysteria.
right, it would change a lot of people's worldviews, I think.
Because let's be honest, an individual person has the ability to be very intelligent. People in general the mass population is panicky, crazy, and quick to jump to conclusions.
Very
And
much so, yes.
everything we see on TV, media, movies, things of that nature is, especially growing up, that's why most people are afraid of ghosts, even though 90% of paranormal encounters are harmless. People are afraid of UFOs because of movies like Independence Day.
Hmm.
People are
Yeah.
afraid of Bigfoot and cryptozoology because of Hollywood and the way that things are portrayed.
Well, we're afraid of the things we don't know, which is why the paranormal is such a spooky topic to a lot of people, is that it is specifically the things outside of the normal that we know. It challenges the things that we know to be real. And, like you said, paranormal, people think it involves, oh, well, just ghosts or just aliens. But paranormal, like you said, it involves cryptozoology and everything, which is interesting. My boyfriend and I actually got a cabin up in Stillwater, Oklahoma, I think, or near, no, Broken Bow, Oklahoma. And that's like primo Bigfoot hunting territory up there. And so there's all sorts of like Bigfoot signs and stuff like that. And there are people that actually go out there on Bigfoot hunts and like will stay out there and like have sworn that they've had Bigfoot encounters. And so like um that's even like something here that is
Oh yeah.
a local legend. Is every I feel like every place kind of has their own local legends, especially something as common as Bigfoot. But we do have a Sasquatch hunting territory here in Oklahoma.
Literally right down the street from me is Lake Champlain. People know the Loch Ness Monster, and people have heard of Champy, the Lake Champlain monster, which they
Oh
think
yeah.
is a cousin to the Loch Ness Monster. I personally
uh
have never seen it. I've been up here since August of 2019, but they say because of the length of Lake Champlain and everything, it's not uncommon to see people, talk about it or things of that nature.
Well, and depending on the lake, and like the climate and everything, here in Oklahoma, we have a gigantic lake and it's got what's called alligator gars in it. And there are these like gigantic, like terrifying shark tooth fish. And they could easily pass as like Nessie's cousin. They are horrific and they're just lake fish. And if I ever come across an alligator gar, I will immediately just like I won't even shower for the rest of my life. I will just swear off water. I will dry to a husk. Like I will never want water again.
And I'm getting the Facebook messages from the wife saying that no, there are multiple Loch Ness monsters / champies, and they migrate. There's some people who believe that the Loch Ness monster and champy is one and the same, and there is massive underground channels that connect multiple water masses throughout the world. I mean,
That's a new one.
there's we don't have any proof of it, but there's also no proof it doesn't exist. I mean, in I want to say maybe 2010, somewhere early 2000s, scientists discovered the world's largest cave hidden deep
Uh-huh.
in the forests in like the Amazon jungle.
Yeah.
And it's
There's
like, if
so
this
much
is,
that we still haven't explored.
and it's like, if they just discovered the world's largest cave that recently, how much more of this earth do we not understand?
What is in Antarctica
So
in
it's
general? Like except for
snow.
ice.
And Lake Champlain used to be saltwater.
Oh,
So
okay. So it would make sense if some sort of like plesiosaur type thing got in there at some
I'm,
point and like adapted and after either years of being alive or having offspring.
and who knows? I mean, maybe dinosaurs still do exist, just hidden somewhere in the world.
I mean, the depths of the ocean, like I said, Antarctica, we have no idea what those
hmm
are like. The depths of the ocean are like we have explored the moon and we still haven't explored certain areas of our own planet because they're so dangerous.
and like, and it's remarkable to think we have the technology to send people to outer space, yet we don't have the technology to be able to dive deep into the depths of the ocean and explore what may lurk down there.
Right.
Because we don't have lights that are strong enough to penetrate the darkness. Don't have materials that are strong enough to withstand the water pressure, or whatever the case may be. And
It's terrifying.
I
love it.
It's amazing to think of that.
It is, because it really, like, I mean, even just looking up at the sky puts my whole life into perspective. I'm like, I am I'm not even a grain of sand in this entire, like, universe. I'm less than a grain of sand. And like that just puts all of life into perspective for me, especially whenever it comes to like the fact that we haven't even explored our own ocean. There's so much there that it's just like this, like, incredible well of greatness and knowledge that is just sitting there, and we are unable to explore it. And it's just like we really are so small no matter how big we think we are, and it's really fascinating and beautiful at the same time.
It really is. And to our viewers out there, I hope you're enjoying this, because this is a rare thing that almost never happens. We're getting into some deep and intellectual topics here, trying to figure some things out, and usually we're fun loving, and
I hope I'm not bringing the topic into a place that's too serious. I get really passionate about these things.
Oh, I'm loving this, because we usually talk a lot, and like I mentioned earlier, we have a couple of big guest announcements a little bit later. In fact, I will say one of them now.
Ooh.
And we'll save the other one for later. November 13th, we have Kelly Baskin, the voice actress of Amber, is going to be joining us. If you're into the Genshin Impact, Amber's voice actress is going to be joining us on November 13th. We had the honor of meeting her a couple weeks ago.
That's excellent.
Oh, hello, Scott. Scott Hare, who was the host of Crossing the Void Radio, which I was a part of before starting AZR. He was one of the big influences in starting this. Said Northwestern University scientists found a large body of water 400 miles underground in the surface of the Earth.
I love that. I love how much we don't know. It just makes me so happy, because it's just like, I don't know, it just feels like a whole world of opportunity. Even if we'll never know it, it's just like it's thrilling to me to know that there's things that we might never know. Something about that makes me happy.
And I hope you are doing well, Scott. It has been a long time since we've been able to talk. And like I said, Scott was a big influence in starting Anime-Zing Radio. It was on his show that I had my first ever voice actor interview with Jeremy Lee, because we had a demonologist cancel on us the Sunday before a Wednesday show. And then
Gotcha.
Just randomly reached out to Jeremy on Facebook, told her who we were, what we did, asked if she'd be interested in coming on the show for a little bit. She stayed for like an hour and a half until her phone died. And we had an amazing time talking with her.
That's awesome.
And on that, he says it was me, not him, because I did reach out, but we discovered that there was a huge audience that was interested in the voice acting world. And when she came on, it was funny, because I was at work when I got the text message at 1:00 that everything was set up for an 8 p.m. show. I got out of work at 6, got home at 6:30, so I had an hour and a half to promote this show. Reached out to a couple of Facebook pages. That's where I first met Darren, was through a page that he ran that allowed us to promote the show. I think it's the only time we ever crashed the chat room on Hazy Radio, which that network no longer exists, because people were listening from all over the world. One person mentioned, Scott says we broke the server that night.
Nice.
And we had people that were listening in all over the country. One person was like, it's 4 a.m. where I'm at, but I had to tune in. And Jeremy was, extremely grateful, and she's such a sweetheart. She had just signed papers on a new apartment, was going back to her friend's house where she had been crashing to pack to go to Anime Boston the next day.
Bless her. Busy girl.
Uh,
Oh,
oh, I didn't even know this. Apparently, we had over 10,000 listeners to that show.
that's
I
awesome.
I wasn't even aware of that one. And after that, we ended up reaching out, because our booking producer, I gave her a list of names, and we ended up having Tia Ballard on the show, Terry Doty on the show, Todd Habercorn a couple of times. And that's what really sparked the thought of maybe I should just do an anime-based show. And 8.5 years later, I'm still going strong with AZR, and we've got exciting news that's coming up next year. So
That's
uh,
awesome. I'm so happy for you, man. Like that's excellent because there's nothing like being able to just dive directly into doing what you love. Not just finding what you love, but doing what you love. Like that's how I feel with voice acting. I just like I am so fortunate to find, what I love and then even more fortunate to be able to get to do what I love. And that just feels so like honestly, everything that I've experienced as a voice actor has like completely humbled me. Like I'm just like seeing the reaction that people have and like seeing just stuff like that. I'm like it's incredible.
that's what it was.
But
Talking about the Men in Black and the server shut off. So
yeah,
a
that's
guest was talking
terrifying.
about that.
And my cat has made her return.
That's okay. I was hearing Ainz howling a little while ago, and my wife was like, "Is that Ainz?" I'm like, "It might be." I looked behind me where he was on the couch, and he's not there anymore. So I'm like, "Probably."
Ah! Then I go and drop my phone. Oopsie.
And Ross says, "Just be careful doing 12-hour streams. They are long." Yes, they are. Um,
I
we
can
did a
only imagine.
we did it. We had a table at Vermont Sci-Fi and Fantasy Expo earlier this year, and so I decided to live stream 6 hours each day from the table at the convention. I learned that was a bit too much to try to keep the entertainment level and the excitement level up for 6 hours each day. So since then, I limited it to about 3 hours each day with a table. But Ross was
Right.
there for 11 of the 12 hours.
Woo, doggies.
And he has been an amazing listener, has been with us for years, and really everybody who tunes in, we really thank everybody who tunes in every week. If this is your first time listening or you've been listening for years, really we love the fans out there. We love giving back to the fans. It's not uncommon for us to have giveaways where fans will join us for voice actor interviews, and we may line something like that up in the future with Kristi. You never know.
I mean, that would be awesome. And also, like, heck, you did that for me. Like, I got to talk to Kidum Kaz, and that was so fun. They were so wonderful.
I don't know who was more surprised by you coming out as a guest co-host, you or them, because they knew who you were too, which caught you off guard.
I know, right? I was like, me. Why me? I didn't do anything today. Like I feel so boring all the time, so that's why I'm always just like blown away. So, no, that was phenomenal. I love talking to them. They were great, and their insight on not just like the online community as far as like posting goes and keeping up the life of not an influencer so much, but just like as an online personality type person and keeping up the creativity, but also what inspires them and also what their process is like. So by the way, if you're watching this and you haven't gone back to that episode to see it, they're phenomenal. So yeah, definitely go and watch that episode. It's really fascinating.
It was really a lot of fun. And question from Ross in the chat room says, question for Kristi. Not sure if you remember in the 90s, but Zebo the Clown from Are You Afraid of the Dark? Creepy or not creepy?
Zebo the Clown. not creepy, but just because I've never really had a fear of clowns. And also the kid in that show, the way he said Zebo the clown, and the number of times they said Zebo the clown was very funny to me. And so, unfortunately, not scary to me. But that's not to say that clowns can't be scary. It's just that one in particular was not to me.
The one that kind of creeped me out a little bit growing up was Bozo the Clown, which was an old TV show.
I remember watching episodes of Bozo as a kid, and again, I wasn't afraid of him, but I also wasn't like excited about him. I was like,
He gave me
I'm
creepy
neutral on
vibes,
this.
not so much of afraid of. I'm just like, this guy's kind of creepy to dress up like this. But I was also
Yeah,
a
it's just a
kid being
little
like,
weird.
that's weird that this guy looks like this. I didn't understand
Yeah,
clowns at the time either.
I was
Hello,
actually looking.
Pancake Girly.
Hmm?
New people coming into the chat. So hello to
Oh,
Pancake
yay!
Girly.
I was actually looking into like, what is the fear behind clowns? Why are we afraid of clowns? And one of the theories that people have for why we're afraid of clowns is that the there are two, like the two most prominent theories is one is that we because of the paint, we cannot read them, and therefore they're unsettling to us because they might be portraying an entirely different emotion, but it's portrayed with discord because they have a painted on smile.
Yeah.
And so, like, seeing somebody with a painted on smile is unsettling to us because we can't get a read on them. Going back to that caveman sense. And then the other one that I've heard was that the dark blue around the eyes, and the white skin, and the wider pulled back mouth and everything, it strikes that fear in us that is also the same thing that repels us from corpses, with the sunken eyes and the white skin and the pulled back skin and everything, like the seemingly pulled back mouth. It's that same fear that makes us repelled by corpses. That's what I've heard. That's from science people doing research into why folks are afraid of clowns. Those are the two most ones I've seen.
And another question from the chat room from Wise Excellent VO. Kristi, any plans for Love Live Superstar Season 2? Because I love Ken and Shibuya so much.
I love Kanan so much too, and I definitely plan on watching it. That's all I can say. I will absolutely watch it when it comes out. I am a huge fan of
Season 2 is
the
out
show
already for Love Live Superstar.
It is, yeah.
I've watched
but
it. I know that there's a Season 3 coming too.
I know, I'm excited. I love that show so much, and like I'm a dub watcher, so I always watch the dub, and I love that show so much. And there's no such thing as best girl in that show because all the members of Liella are just so wonderful. So I just love it. I definitely plan on watching when it comes out.
I love the storyline, and I've watched it in English and in Japanese, because recently I've watched a lot more stuff in Japanese, and then we'll go rewatch it back when it gets dubbed. Partially because I want to keep up with all the simulcasts that are coming out right now. Granted, there are shows like Spy Family that I watched that my wife and I watched up. So once they start dubbing Season 2, we'll start watching it.
Yeah.
Same thing with like Top Team Epic and things of that nature. Because I watched it a certain way, I want to continue to watch it that way, because there are shows where you watch it in Japanese, then you go right back and watch it in English. The voices may not sound right to you, and you get a prejudged, you prejudge going, they picked the wrong person for that character after hearing one version compared to the other. And then if you give it time, you're like, oh no, they nailed it.
Right. I see what you're saying. Yeah, you come in with an unfair view of it after a certain point. After you've preferred one over the other.
And we had a friend of mine on a couple weeks ago. Kaya Tanu is their VTuber name, but he is a huge Idol fan. And he,
nice.
Like, if I have questions about idols or idol anime, I go to him because he probably knows it. And he was like, oh, well, what do you think of Love Live Superstar? I said, to be honest, after Season 1, it's the second best Love Live that's come out behind the original. I put it in front of Love Live Sunshine. After
Oh
season
wow.
2, I put it as the best Love Live I have seen thus far, especially where it's getting a season 3.
I cried during the first season like several times. I just like it's so touching. It's so beautiful, and I just like oh God, watching it. I'm just like I cannot wait for season 2 to come out.
And then he introduced me to another idol anime called Shine Post. Have you heard of this one?
I haven't.
It's on High Dive, so it's a Sentai title. So the storyline in this anime puts the idol world in a whole new light, and I absolutely think it blows Love Live away.
Really?
Between the
Oh, that's
performances,
interesting.
the character growth, the storyline, and like the characters, there's nothing that hugely stands out about the characters. It's your basic idol girl group, underground
Mm-hmm.
idol girl group trying to go from bringing 20 people into a concert up to like 2,000. And they've
Uh-huh.
got a certain amount of time to do that. But everybody in that group has got problems that they are hiding from the other members and keeping the
Oh,
internal torture. And so you see how they're able to slowly work through those and grow as people.
I see.
And
Will
then
you
they,
text the name of that to me?
of course, um, and one of the characters, Rio, she has a song in there. I think it's in episode 6 that she sings, and it's a ballad, very small, nice tempoed song. That as soon as I heard her start singing it, the Japanese actress start singing it, I fell in love with it. Going, oh my god, this voice is amazing. Where have
Uh-huh.
I heard this before? Because
Uh-huh.
I listen to the voices. That's how I find voice actors. Like that's how I can tell newer voice actors, people who stick out. So there are some people like Monica Rial. You can pick her voice out of just about
Mm-hmm.
any show because you've heard it so much. Todd Habercorn, Tia, things of that nature. Then you hear new voices come, and you're like, "Who is this person?"
Mm-hmm.
And it took me a little bit of time, to figure out where I had seen or where I'd heard that voice from. And it was one of those cases of I need to go back through and look and see, okay, what has this person done? And you've heard me talk about Show by Rock in the past.
Oh yeah.
She's the same Japanese voice actress for this character,
Oh,
whose voice
okay.
I fell in love with in Mashumai Resh.
Gotcha, gotcha. I
I'm
see.
like,
Okay.
that explains A, where I heard the voice before, and B, why I love the voice so much.
I see.
And
Interesting.
I was like,
I
okay, that
see.
that explains.
That's awesome that you were able to pick that out. First off, two things. One, like now that I've watched Love Live Superstar, which like I said, if it gets a season 2 dub, oh my god, I will be there. So but anyway, because like I'm the same way, I watched it originally in the dub, so like if it gets a dub, I'm going to obviously be waiting for that one. But anyway, so like uh but yeah, I'm super turned on to like idol animes like that. And I apologize. What was it that you were also coming off of with that? Was the that you had just mentioned?
Shine Post, which was uh the the voice actress who was singing in the
That's
Japanese.
right. That reminds me. So one time, my an ex of mine was sitting on the sofa watching Bleach, and he watched he watched the subs, and I heard one of the voices. I was like, that voice I have definitely heard 1,000 times. Who is that? And I looked it up, and it was a voice I have heard 1,000 times because it is the voice actor of Adult Link in Zelda, the 64 Nintendo 64 one.
Yep.
And it's weird to hear him talking, but
And,
it's like it's the same guy, and I'm like, no wonder I've heard it 1,000 times. It's the guy who voices Link in Nintendo 64 Zelda, like both of like, or I guess not both of them because Adult Link doesn't really exist in Majora's Mask, but in the Nintendo 64, yeah, the voice of Adult Link was in Bleach, and I was like, holy crap! Like I can't believe I picked up based on just like thousands of effort noises that I spent my childhood hearing of just like, yeah, that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I was able to pick out the voice actor based on his effort noises. Like, that's good voice acting.
And I because of the radio show and getting to know the world of voice acting and appreciate the work that you guys do in the booth, I have become addicted to getting autographs. And
Gotcha,
so,
yeah.
talking about Kelly Baskin, when we met her in Syracuse, we did get her autograph. And I figured this would be a good time because the flip side of this, Sean Chiplock will be joining us November 6th.
Oh, killer!
Now, Darren, you may know one of Sean's roles very well because he was Subaru Natsuki in ReZero. I don't know if Darren's still awake or not.
Well, I hate to leave you hanging just on your own or anything like this, but I am also about to hop off of here because I do have to go to bed soon.
Not a problem. And then the other autograph that I'd gotten was, I don't know if you remember that series.
I can't see it because the live banner. What does it say?
Says Familiar of Zero.
Oh, no, I haven't seen it.
But we got Christina V's autograph.
Oh, cool.
Who was the voice of Louise, the main female character.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun to get to meet them. It was my first time at a gaming con. And it was the first time since I divorced my ex-wife that I'd gone back to Syracuse. So 10 years.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
it was weird to go back out there, but it was nice.
I'm glad it was in a good context, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But before you have to run, we want to give you a chance to promote anything that you've got coming up where people can find you on social media. Any fun stuff you have going on. The floor is yours.
Right now, I don't have anything going on. I'm currently, as far as I know, like, I don't have anything going on, like, as far as Crunchy goes, because we're kind of in between seasons. And so, like, all of the shows are, like, in the process of coming out. And so we just wrapped a lot of shows. And so right now, there's really nothing coming out that I'm in that I know of. And also the rest, there are a couple of things that are NDA, but, isn't that the truth with every voice actor ever?
Yep.
And so, yeah, but obviously there's that stuff. But but no, if you ever want to catch updates on me or just see me being a complete goofball or posting selfies or like just weird thoughts that I had while I was out, like, skating or something, then you can follow me on Twitter. It's at grandpa, just spelled straight out, grandpa_trout. There is a story behind it, but don't worry about it. Just grandpa_trout. And then my Instagram, I'm pretty active on there too. Excuse me. That is let's LETZ_shake. And if you've ever played No More Heroes, then it's like Let's Shake from No More Heroes. So LETZ_shake. And the reason those two are different is because I'm terrible at branding.
We thank you so much for coming on and hanging out with us tonight, and look forward to definitely keeping in contact more, especially for upcoming events and things that are going to be going on in 2023. Lots of exciting news.
Yes, that's exciting. So can't wait for that. And thank you again for having me on. I'm glad I got to dress up all Halloween-y and talk spooky things with you for a little bit. So thank you again. Yeah.
Glad that you got to see the Kobayashi come out.
Oh, I love it. I love it so much. I'm so glad. It's so good. You make the perfect Kobayashi.
Thank you so much. And again, big thank you to Kristi for joining us tonight. One last question I just noticed from Ross. I apologize, Ross.
Oh, yeah?
Says, Wise's question inspired me. Who is your favorite of the characters you did that I mentioned earlier? Edelgard, Ilulu, or Tachan?
Oh, gotta go for my little Grimmin' Lulu. I love her so much. Although Tachan was so much fun because she was just like such an out there character. God, she was so much fun. And yeah, Edelgard she was another one that was really fun. So yeah, it's it's hard to pick, but of those three, definitely Alulu has been my favorite because she has that pure gremlin energy that I love so much.
And one last question from me, where we were went down the Idol showcase. If you had the chance, would you not only just voice in an Idol anime, but would you sing?
No, I would not sing. No. The answer is no, I would not sing. And I will text you more of my answer in a second.
Okay. But I was just curious because, like, I don't know if I would sing in an anime, like if I was in that position, if I would sing. But then again, and Scott Hare can vouch, there are 3 songs out there that I have sung on the Hazy Radio Network that, we had somebody write a script. I did the singing, he did the producing. So there are songs out there that I have actually sung. I don't have any of them personally. I think Scott may still have all 3 of them.
No, whenever I'm in an anime and I have to sing, it's just like I'm just like I'm like apologizing. I'm just like, well, yeah, so for a minute there's going to be my voice funneling into your ears. So singing, I just hope that no role comes up that
Scott still
I have to
them.
sing. Has what?
The songs that I did. So Scott still has all 3 of them.
Wonderful.
I kind of want them, and I kind of want them burned, but
That's how I feel about some of my first recordings at Funimation. I'm just like, they were 5 years ago. I was a green little actress, and I had no idea what I was doing. And I've heard some of my old recordings, and I'm like, I wouldn't hire me. And so I'm like so thankful for the directors that did take chances on me and, put me in shows. And I was able to get the experience that I needed to really excel in my career and everything. And so, going back on what you were talking about, is like listening to old stuff and, listening to old potential performances that you may not be comfortable with. And that's hard to do. And I totally understand the feeling of like, I sort of want to listen, but then again, I'm not sure if I'm ready for that torture yet.
At some point, maybe if Scott sends them to me, we might air 1 or 2 of them. Granted, they might not have the same effect on here as they did on Hazy Radio, but because they were a lot of the first one we did was based off of Hazy Radio. Actually, 2 of them were based off of Hazy Radio personalities. So other shows that were with Hazy Radio that these songs were based around. But they were basically spin-offs of actual songs. So the first one was instead of Ground Control to Major Tom, we did Tech Request to Mr. Fudge, who Mr. Fudge was basically one of the show hosts on Hazy, but also the tech guy that if somebody had an issue, they went to him to try to have resolved.
Gotcha.
So we changed lyrics, and like I said, I did all the singing for that. So it was all like original stuff to the actual music from previous songs. And then the second one, I don't remember the title. I just remember it was based off of Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Perfect.
One of the songs from that. And it was a song that I had never heard before. I had a week and a half to learn the actual lyrics and how the song goes, and then get the new lyrics and then record. And thank God Scott was very patient with me trying to organize the singing to the music and everything. He was the master behind it all for all of that stuff.
Bless the engineers of the world.
And he says makes great blackmail.
There you go. Perfect. Yeah, I got material for later. Anyway, I've got to get, so thank you so much for having me on.
No problem. Thank you for coming on, and we look forward to chatting with you in the future. And keep up the awesome work. If you are not in the Oklahoma area, download the app for B99.7 The Buzz and listen to Kristi in the mornings. She has a great show. They play amazing music. I love the music.
Thank you. I love the music too. I'm genuinely jamming in the studio. And yeah, if you listen, you will be making my 4:45 alarm time worth it for me. Thank you. Anyway, thank you so much. You guys have a great evening.
You as well. Have a wonderful night.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye. Ladies and gentlemen, Kristi Rothrock, always fun to talk with. So glad that she was able to join us tonight, even for the little bit that she did. And it was fun to get into a serious topic about paranormal. I know that's not usually the AZR way, but it was a lot of fun. And thank you for the awesome questions that came in from the chat. Lots of good stuff coming up. Next week, we don't have a guest yet, but there is a potential of a guest. So keep an eye on our Facebook page at facebook.com/Anime-Zing radio. Also, we're streaming now. You can find us on most podcast platforms outside of Apple. We're not on Apple at this time, but nothing says it won't happen in the future. Also, we want to wish a safe travels to our co-host Angela and her husband, who are abroad in Europe right now. They're in the UK. I think they're in England this week and going to Paris next week. So hopefully they are having a fun time. I know that they sent a message saying that there is One Piece ads on the train stations in England. So that was kind of neat to see. And I know that the One Piece movie is going to be coming out soon. The premiere happened recently. Heard a lot of good things from it. Big congratulations to the success of all the stuff going on with One Piece for Anthony Bowling, who's been doing a great job with the directing of the series now. Maybe we can try to reach out to Anthony and get him come on the show before the end of the year. He's just been so busy, especially with conventions and stuff opening up. And 2022 has been a crazy year with cons opening back up and things kind of getting back to normal. I know that Darren hasn't gone to any conventions this year, but I know Angela has attended a few. My goal at the start of the year was to hit 10 cons and table at 5. I've been to 11 cons and tabled at 4, with the potential of tabling con number 5 coming up at attendance number 12. And already starting to look ahead at our schedule for 2023 for conventions. If there are cons out in your area that you think might enjoy having us there, reach out to them, have them reach out to us. We would love to travel to new areas to check out different conventions. We are based out of the New York, New England area, but we have slowly been expanding our reach to Pennsylvania, New Jersey. I would consider Ohio right now. If a con wants to potentially bring us in as guests in the future, I would be open to traveling just about anywhere as long as there was some sort of help with traveling and stuff. But so much good stuff that's been going on. This has been a fun Halloween special with Kristi, getting to talk the paranormal. And the screensaver that you see behind me, or the wallpaper, is Kristi's character Rose from Combatants Will Be Dispatched. I can pull up a better picture of her. This character is absolutely adorable. And that is too big, but we'll push this off here. And let me open this up. But that is Rose. That is the character that Kristi voices. She's a chimera. She eats different monsters and gains their abilities and body parts. And she is a little ball of fire. She's basically a more monster version of Megumin from Konosuba. No, I think Lady Buttfloss was the show which it was an isekai where the main character was a wrestler that was summoned to another world. I believe. It's been a while since I've... Have a good night, Scott. Thank you for tuning in. I hope that you enjoyed some of the content tonight. And thank you for all the help that you've done in the past. And definitely keep in contact. We'd love to have you back on in the future for when you have more shows and stuff going, if you get back into the radio side of things. But that's the character. It's a different picture that's in the background. In fact, I think the picture we have in the background, that's part of it. I think this is more of what the picture is. Like I said, she is an adorable, adorable character. And Kristi does an amazing job voicing her. I know the new seasons are coming out. The summer seasons are wrapping up for anime. Curious as to what some of your favorite shows have been from the summer season. I know I've watched quite a bit of stuff from the summer season, a bunch of, behind on some shows that I would like to get caught up with at some point. Shine Post, as you heard me mentioning to Kristi, that one, I think far and away was the biggest surprise for me for animes that came out in the summer season. Hands down, Call of the Night, my opinion, best anime of the summer season. Nazuna is definitely an awesome character. I don't know how to put it any other way than I love Nazuna as a character, as the main female protagonist. I love her personality, the fact that she'll tell a dirty joke, but if you try talking romance, she gets embarrassed. I'm not going to spoil anything for anybody if you want to watch it or have been thinking about watching it. Call of the Night has a way of bringing out the beauty of the night in the color palette that they use. A lot of animes, you see nighttime, it's very dark, a lot of black, a lot of dark gray, things of that. And the way that they depict the nighttime, the lights, the stars, the sky, just absolutely breathtaking. The artwork and the storyline is really good as well. There were some twists and turns that happened along the way, which some you kind of expected, some came from out of nowhere. But had a lot of fun watching this show, and it was one of those shows that it was like, I can't wait till I see the next show. I can't wait till the next episode comes out. And I genuinely hope it gets a season 2. Because I've been enjoying it so much. And other shows that we were watching from the previous season, and I'm trying to go back through Parallel World Pharmacy, was a lot of fun. I did enjoy that one. I started going back because that one's getting dubbed. I started to rewatch that in dub. And it is just as good dubbed as it is subbed, in my opinion. But then again, I think a good storyline is going to stay a good storyline unless the writing staff or voice acting team really bombs at what they're trying to portray. But this day and age, I don't see that happening very often. I can understand a lot of people being turned off to the dubs early on because there wasn't like the precedence that there is now from the fan base, and there is so much pressure on these recording studios to put out quality work because there is such a huge fan base now. In the last 5-10 years, we have seen an explosion in anime like never seen before in the genre. And Ross says, I got upset when the bad guy made Lotte cry in the pharmacy. Lotte is an adorable character. I don't know who from that show I would consider best girl. I know you like Lotte. She's cute, but there were a few others that were also adorable in that show. Like his teacher was cute as well. So, and of course, with the return of Spy Family coming out, as you heard me mention earlier, I am waiting for it to start getting dubbed. And that is when I will start watching that again. Sorry about that. I'd gotten a message from the missus saying goodnight. And so, lots of good stuff going on. And like I said, looking ahead, we've got some great things lined up. As you heard me mention before, we have got Sean Chiplock is going to be joining us on November 6th. We are excited about having him join us. Got to meet him out at Retro Game Con in Syracuse. Very talented voice actor. Also, November 13th, we have Kelly Baskin is going to be joining us. As I mentioned earlier, she is the voice of Amber in Genshin Impact. Genshin is a huge video game right now. I heard it's getting an anime adaptation, which I think surprises nobody. Oh my god, I don't know if you can hear that, but our cat Ines is talking up a storm right now. And I don't know. Oh, he's hungry, that's why. He's trying to talk to anybody who listens to get him food. So after the show. And I forgot what I was talking about. Oh yeah. So I still only have a little bit of time played in Genshin, enough to know that like the characters are very well done. The artwork of Genshin is very well done. The storyline seems pretty cool. I just don't have the time to play a game like that right now because a lot of time is spent between work, preparations for show, taking care of Evie and everything. And especially where the little one has a birthday coming up in just a few weeks. So the next couple of weeks are going to be absolutely crazy getting ready for that stuff. Plus, we have Anime-Zing that we are looking at attending here in a few weeks. That's going to be November 11th through 13th. So November 13th is going to be a nutty one, driving from Maine back home in time for the 8 o'clock show with Kelly. Excited about that one. And Ross says, I'm still waiting for the Switch port so I can get into the hype of the game. I think I would play it a lot more if I had it for the Switch than I would on the computer. Because I've been playing, like most of my gaming has been done on the Switch because I can take that with me if we travel somewhere, bring the wife to the gym, sit in the car for an hour, playing Minecraft or something on the Switch, Animal Crossing, things of that nature. It would be a lot easier that way. Ines, you're okay, Bubba. My gosh, he is talkative like never before. But before he wakes everybody up in the house, I probably should get going. But again, big thank you to everybody for tuning in tonight. Thank you to Kristi for joining us. It has been a lot of fun chatting with her. Ines, I think, already woke the wife up. She sent a message asking, is bro okay? He's just out there howling. So if you can hear the little meows in the background, I gotta go check, make sure the cat's good. So we are cutting out a couple minutes earlier than we normally would. But until next week, I hope everybody has a wonderful week. Keep watching anime, keep enjoying all the nerdy stuff out there. And we will see you right here again for more Anime-Zing Radio on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Have a wonderful